All right, a circle is not a function. Why again? Vertical line test, won't pass it. All right, so if I draw a line through this, it's going to touch in this spot and this spot, for instance, on that circle, and therefore the input of -1/2 or whatever that was right here gives me two outputs of y numbers that would work for it. So bottom line is it's not a function. Let's just split it in two parts. All right, but let's talk about what if I was asking you to draw a circle, you'd have to ask me like, well, how big, right? And usually you'd say that in terms of the radius. Does that make sense to you? Or the diameter, maybe. In the real world, a lot of times people would say, you know, the circle was 5 feet across. They mean diameter. Okay? And the other thing you need to know is, where do you want me to put the circle? And there's only one point on a circle that's really important. What point do you think that is? The center. All right, so that's what you're going to do. We're going to introduce a new kind of formula or function. This was a square root function, right? And you knew what it looked like, and it looked like this. You could then move it around by like saying +2 and -1. Okay, but now we need to know what's the base thing for a circle. The base thing for a circle comes from this right here. I want you to just get your head around it for a second. Do you get that there's a circle there that has a radius of 1? Okay. And next thing I want you to look at is, does it make sense that this part right here would be called x? Yeah, because that's the x-way on the graph, right? We don't know exactly how far it is. Would you agree that it's less than 1? Okay. And in this scenario, this is y, and we're making a right triangle out of it. Take a wild guess why we would use the right triangle. Yes? Pythagorean theorem. Because then the Pythagorean theorem says what? A squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? And in this case, it would say what? X squared plus y squared equals 1 squared, the radius squared, in this case 1 squared. And that's the formula for the circle. X squared plus y squared equals 1 squared. Now that's the most simple of all the circles. That's the parent circle because it has a radius of 1. But it won't be hard to figure out what to do if I change the radius to like 4. It'll be x squared plus y squared equals what? 4 squared. See how that works? Now, it's different than all the other functions because all the other functions were solved for y. This one's not. Okay, but we could solve this for y if we wanted to put it into the calculator, which I do. So we're going to solve it for y. So let's figure out how that works. This is that thing I just said to you before. And we talked about how it's not a function because when we graph it, it doesn't pass the vertical line test. Here is the parent equation, like y equals mx plus b. This is that form for a circle. Better write this one down. This is the part where you probably need some notes. Can't do it in the back of your quiz because I'm taking that from you. There's obviously some gorgeous artwork that's being done on the back sides of it. You're the artist. Did you get anything good on the back side? Very disappointing. Okay. Here's the x we were talking about. Here's the y we were talking about. Here's how they're squared like before. Okay, now it's got an r here, and that makes total sense because that stands for what? Radius. And it's this squared plus this squared equals the radius squared. Then the only thing that's different is this pesky h and k. Take a wild guess what they are. Yes. H height would make total sense, but it's not. Yes? Hypotenuse also would make total sense. The fact that it's an H is kind of irrelevant. It could be a Q. Don't think of words that start with H. Yes. Coordinates for a point. Yes. What point do you think it would be? Center. The H and the K are the coordinates for a point, and there will be the center of the circle. All right? So H, comma, K is the center. H and K are common ones to use in a lot of functions. All I can tell you is in pre-calc, we got another big honking long thing like this for a sinusoidal function, and they use H and K there too. It's kind of just a tradition. Kind of like slope is M in a lot of formulas. There's really no good reason for M being picked, but they stuck with it. Once they stuck with M as always the slope, it's always the slope in all the other formulas as well. H and K are like things that get moved left and right and up and down. Now think about this. Do you get that this is inside here with the X? And it's just like any of those other functions. When we put something in there with the X, it makes it go left, right. And you can't trust it. So it seems like it's been moved. Minus means to the left, but actually that would be to the right, H. And this here is an up-down thing. And what you're not used to is that you could always trust the Y stuff. But now the Y is on the inside of the parentheses, isn't it? So now you can't trust the Y stuff either on a circle. And so therefore, when I give you this equation of like, no, not Y equals, we usually don't solve them for Y yet. We will eventually. X plus 3 squared plus y minus 2 squared is equal to 4 squared. What's the radius of my circle? 4. And where is it centered? And be careful. Do you agree now? Negative 3, positive 2 would be the center. Now think about this for a second. Doesn't this seem like it moved to the right 3? But it's on the inside. So therefore, it actually moved to the left 3. So if the center is where you always start, and I go to the left 3, you can see I'm going to end up at negative 3, right? And then this, doesn't this seem like it should be down 2? But since it's on the inside, and it's the opposite of normal, it's actually up 2. So if I go 3 to the left, and then up 2, right there, that's the center of my circle. And my radius would be 4. So I know 4 would be like over here if I'm going to start around this like that. So basically my circle would look like that. Alright. I'll give you another one. You tell me, I'm going to give you the formula. You just tell me 2 things. Tell me the center and tell me what its radius is. Alright. X minus 3 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals 25. Need something sneaky there. We'll see if you catch it. So can you tell me the radius and can you tell me the center? Write them on your iPad or in your notes if you're taking notes on paper. For those of you that are on your iPads, I'm going to ask you to zoom in on it real tight and then tell me what's the radius and then tell me what's the center. And you are right, sir. Yup. 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 Nobody's falling into my trap. Yup. Yup. Oh, nope. Somebody fell in the trap. Yup. 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 Backwards. Yup. All right, good. Seeing lots of people with the right. It is as simple as it seems. It is the 3 and it is the 5. Because if there's minuses in here, then you just take the normal, the number that you have. Or the way you can say it is this. It's the opposite of what you think. So it's the opposite of negative 3, it's positive 3. It's the opposite of minus 5, it's positive 5. And then this, 25, it was the radius squared. So therefore it's 5. Okay. Now how about this? I'm going to give you a circle and you to write me the equation for it. Yes. Nope. I'll go back to it. Right there. Minus h and minus k. Right? So the minuses are in the normal formula. So if it's got minuses, then you can just take them as they are, the 3 and the 5. All right, so how about this? Here's a circle. Write its equation for me. I'm trying to confuse me with your big words. Just utter the word circle, circle. I think you did. Okay. X, Y, you see how I left empty spots wherever I needed? Oh, that's an R. Oopie. 2. There we go. I left empty spots wherever I needed something. So Mr. V in the front row, would you tell me what goes in here and here? Kind of trick question. What goes in those spots? Yeah, and what are they in this case? Yeah, exactly. 0, 0. Because we are at the center of the universe. So do you have to put plus 0 and plus 0? No, because x plus 0 is the same thing as x. Right? And it's a good question. If it's plus minus 0 or minus 0, it's the same thing, right? So it doesn't really matter. Okay. You got a point, though. If I was going to be... I think I'd prefer to put a minus there, but it really won't matter because x minus 0 is just going to go away anyways. Or plus 0. Okay. So it's just x squared and y squared, and then it equals what? 3 squared. Or you could say 9. Either way is okay. All right. Maybe a trickier one. That one. I know you're going to need another radius, so I'm just going to count it for you because people in the back row always stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Radius is 7. EV radius is 7. What would the center be? Can you tell from the back row? 3. So then what's the equation? Well, you have to have the x part. You have to have the y part. You have to have the radius part. Have you got it written down yet? Yep. Good. Read it to me. Yep. Good. Yep. Oh. There you go. And then 49, or you could have said 7 squared. Very good. Raise your hand if you got that one right. Okay, good. And the only place this gets more complicated is what if we had to get this question? Okay. What if we had to get the domain on these things? It's really not that complicated. Domain means left to right, right? It means how far does it go this way and how far does it go that way? Yes, it involves the diameter, but really what we got to say is how far does it go this way? And on this particular graph, I'll count it over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Do you see it goes 7 from 0? It's not really the radius, though, that we want here. It's how far does it go to the left? And it goes to -7. And then how far does it go to the right? 1 is the farthest it goes to the right. Now, will this total, when I get its absolute value, will it make the radius, or the diameter of 8? Yes, it will, but I would say from -7 to 1. Because -7 is farthest goes this way, 1 is farthest goes that way. There's my answer. Now, wait a minute. I put parentheses around it. That implies it doesn't touch it. That would be wrong. We just graded a pre-calc test today, and I've got a lot of kids get these wrong, and I want to make sure I get it straight for you guys. So, does it touch here at -7? Yes, it does. So, it should be a bracket. And that should be a bracket because it touches the 1. All right. So, here's my answer. -7 to 1. What's the range? Well, same idea. Would you write the range, please, on your paper? I'm hoping you have a 5 in there. Some sort of a 5. Those of you that have a hard time counting from the back row, that's down 5 spots. So final answer should be -5 is the lowest it goes, up to 3 is the highest it goes. Do you get how that also kind of adds up to 8 if you think absolute values? Okay, there's domain and range. And then the other thing we got to be able to do is, yeah, that one's too easy, to take this and put it, if I was going to put it in a calculator, how do I get that in a calculator? You got to solve it for what? Yes. Solve it for y. So if I was going to take this and solve it for y, I'm going to start with x squared plus y squared equals 1. I want you to just give it a shot yourself and see if you can do it. I don't think you'll need me, but we'll see. Solve that for y. Get y completely alone. I want you to solve it for y squared. That'd be easy. Solve it for y. And I betcha at least a third of you are going to make a mistake. I know what mistake you're going to make. I've been down this road before. Because I think 2/3 of you are going to catch it. All right, so I'm hoping that everybody knew that part. Y squared is 1 minus x squared. Okay. Then I'm hoping everybody knew you just got to take a square root. And this is where I think a lot of people will mess up. Wrong. Because why? Yes. Remember, square root of y squared is not y. How many of you guys got that wrong on the test, or did we just took 2 seconds ago? What is the square root of y squared? Absolute value of y. And that means there's 2 answers. Does anybody want to take an educated guess why there's 2 answers? Because of how we make the circles. Yes. Yes, there are 2 ways to do it with a negative and a positive. Yes, but that's not the point. Yes? There's going to be 2 sides of it. Yes. How about this? Do you agree that you kind of know what square roots generally sort of look like? And then do you get that if I throw a negative out in front, what does it do to it? So can you picture the top half of the circle? And then when you put the negative in front, what do you think it gives you? The bottom half of the circle. Okay? All right, so I want you to actually try this. We're going to put this puppy into your calculator. So grab your graphing calculator. If you don't have one, borrow one of mine. You know what? I'm sorry. We're going to do that tomorrow. Looking at the time, we don't have time. It's cool, but we'll. I'm going to focus on getting you started on your homework. Your homework is a worksheet in Schoology, and that worksheet is under today's date, which is 10-11. So look for the worksheet called Circles. I think it's Circles Worksheet A, or was it number 1? I can't remember. Which one? Circles Day 1. Okay, I guess that's what we went with instead of A, or we went with Day 1. Yeah, we've got time right now to grade that little quiz.